Hey guys, welcome back to Tech with Meg. Today I'm going to be showing you how to replace your 8 Plus screen. So here's my 8 Plus. As you can see, the screen's pretty shattered up in here. A few cracks down on this side. You can tell it's the 8 Plus by the glass back. And then here's my screen. I just ordered it on Amazon. You can see it says for the screen replacement, iPhone 8 Plus white. This is what it looks like inside. Get a screen protector. Have the screen. This is the non-full assembly, so we'll have to pull the earpiece and the camera from this one. I'll show you how to do that. It's pretty simple. And then here's all the tools you'll need, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, these are my tools. The kit came with different ones. These are just ones I've had from other ones that I prefer, but both types will work. So the first thing we are going to do is turn your 8 Plus off. You're going to hold the side power button and then slide to power off. If your screen is so broken that you can't touch it at all, you're just going to have to unplug the battery, so just leave it on. Next, we are going to take our screwdriver. This is the one. It's like a star shape, and it takes the screws out on the bottom. So 1, 2. Okay, and then the next thing we are going to do is we are going to grab this suction cup that came with the kit. We're going to stick it down. This is really hard if the bottom of the screen looks like this, because the suction cup doesn't hold very well. So hopefully the bottom of the screen's not too shattered. You're just going to put it next to the home button and then use one of the pry tools that came with it. I prefer using guitar picks. I feel like they work better than the ones that they send, but like I said, the tools that they send you will work just fine. I just have my own preferences. So you are going to try and separate the screen from the housing. So the best way to do that is just to attach it and lift and try to get a pry tool in there. You can also use an X-Acto knife or a razor. You have to be really careful with those two options. You want to make sure that you're not going to go too far in or cut any cables. Once you get that razor in, you can stick the pry tool in there just like that. And then the next step is just to go all the way around the outside of the phone as to disconnect that adhesive that's holding the screen in place. You want to make your way around carefully. As you can see, I'm not pulling the screen up like this or anything. I'm just running my pry tool around, keeping it very horizontal. I don't normally do the top. Once I've gotten both sides done, as you can see, I pull and I kind of wiggle downwards. So I pull and wiggle down. And you want to be careful because there's 2 connectors on this side. So as you pull open, you can see the adhesive is holding on right here. Just going to break that adhesive, and there we go. That's how it opens up. That's the inside of your 8 Plus. This connects to your screen and your speaker. These are your LCD and home button connectors. The next thing we are going to do is take these plates off. So we have 2 plates we need to take off. These screws down here can be a mix of screws. It depends on if your screen has been replaced or anything like that. For this one, these are the Phillips head screws for mine. For yours, they could be this one. Could be that, or it could be this. Or it could even be a mixture, just depending on if it's been worked on before. So we're going to take out these 4 screws pull this plate off, and the first thing I'm going to do, even before we grab the other plate, is to unplug the battery. So you can use a pry tool, guitar pick, your fingernails, whatever you want, but I'm going to disconnect the battery and just bring it up like this. Let's see, like this. Do you see how I've pulled it up that way so it's sitting up and down? You don't want to pull this direction because that can damage the battery cable. So, and then I'm going to do these next screws, and these ones are this Y-shaped one. So there are three screws right here. 1, 2, and then 3. One tip is if they seem to not want to be coming out, you don't want to strip the screw. So you want to apply a good amount of pressure on that first turn, and that should, oh, we've got one more screw. 2 plates, 4 screws. You want to make sure that you don't strip it, so you want to apply a good amount of pressure to that first turn, and then it should come out pretty easily after that. So we're going to remove these 2 plates, and then unplug that. Then we're going to go back down here, unplug these 2. This is the LCD and home button connectors. Once we have done that, I am going to go ahead and remove all of this adhesive. I'm just going to put new adhesive down. Sometimes the kits come with it, sometimes they don't. I just messed up enough spots in the adhesive that I want to remove it first. So I'll just fast forward through this part. Okay, after we've gotten all the adhesive off, we're going to set this aside. Now we need to get the speaker, the earpiece, and the camera off of this one, as well as this plate that goes along the back side and the home button. So I'm going to pull this suction cup off, and the first thing I'm going to do is remove the home button. So again, this is these, there we go, zoom in a little bit. The Y-shaped ones, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now we're going to remove the plate. And from here, we have to unhook this connector right here. The best way I have found to do it is it lifts up this way. So I stick my pry tool down kind of at an angle, hold my finger on there, and just unattach it. So that'll come out, this will go up, and then I like to hold this up while I am removing the home button. So the best way, again, there's other ways, my preferred way is to use an X-Acto knife and to push down at kind of a 45-degree angle and get right underneath that. You need to be really careful, go slowly until you get that up. You don't want to damage this or bend it at all. It'll make it so the home button doesn't work, and these cannot be replaced. If you replace one, it won't work because it is coated to the board. So we have the home button out. The next step is going to be getting the speaker out. So these ones are the Phillips head. There are 5 screws. I'm going to fast forward this part as well. Are the kids doing okay? They're being really quiet.
I think so.
Okay. Okay, now that we have all those screws out, we're going to pull this plate off right here. Set that aside. Then you're going to pull this camera across like you're opening a book. This is the speaker. It just comes right out. And then the next part is we have to get this unattached. So this is also attached with adhesive. Again, the best way that I found is just to use the X-Acto knife. Be very gentle. And then you have to get this right here up. You just want to go very slowly and carefully. You don't want to damage any of these connectors. Sometimes I will also just pull up this whole part right here and remove that first. Come back and remove the part that I actually need. Okay, as you can see, a lot of the front screen came up with it. We are going to have to go right in here and separate this. Again, be very careful. There we go. This is the part you need. We're going to set that over here in the pile. And the last part we have to grab off of this screen is going to be this plate. So it has 1, 2, and then those 2 screws that we already took out, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws that need to be removed. So I am going to remove those. One way that I found that's easier to remove these is by putting your finger right next to it, because if not, this kind of bends down as you're doing it. So we just unscrew all those screws. 1, 2. Three. 4. 5. And 6. So then there's a little piece that is connected right here that you will have to peel up first, like this. And then if you pull this up, you just pull that right out, just like that. So now we're done with that screen. We're going to grab our new screen. And the first thing we're going to do, wipe that glass out of the way. My screen was pretty cracked, so there's a good amount of glass. So I always leave this protector on up here, so you can see it, until after I'm totally done. So first thing we are going to do is pull off this red part. These cables are held down by a piece of tape. We're going to pull those off. Be careful so you don't damage any of the cables. And we're just going to peel this film off. And our first step is to put all of these, they're connected nicely in a little way they're supposed to be, in just like that. And then you're going to put that black thing just right back over there. And stick that right back down. Then we are going to screw those screws back in. The longer one, that's the Phillips head, will go right down here by where the home button goes. And then the rest of them go along the sides. We'll fast forward this as well. There we go. Got that on. The next step is going to be putting the speaker back in. This one looks like it's not in correctly, so I'm just going to pull that off, stick it where it's supposed to go, just like that. We're going to peel off this blue sticker. There's a little bit of adhesive for the chip. Now we're just going to stick that right back in there, line up this part, this bottom part, those two holes with these two little notches down here. There we go. We're going to grab the speaker, put the speaker in. You can see those 4 gold points. Touch those 4 gold points. Just like that. Put the camera right over on top. Put the plate back down. And we are going to screw it back in. Fast forward this part as well. Do you want to ask that person if we're still meeting, Yaman?
I have.
Oh, would they didn't respond?
They haven't seen it yet.
Oh, okay. Now we've gotten those all back in. The last thing is the home button. So putting the home button in, you just have to peel back the plastic a little bit. We're going to stick it in from the front like this. So you're going to stick it down and turn it over so that it sits nicely. Oh, it goes the other direction. I'm going to put it in just like that. I hold the plastic up until I've gotten it lined up, because if not, the plastic holds it in place. And if you don't get it lined up well, it's really hard to plug in this cable. So then I put the plastic back down. Go ahead and just connect these two pieces right here, just like that. We're going to take our plate, put the plate back on, and it has 4 screws. One, I'm going to fast forward this as well. Two, 3, 4. Now we are going to grab our bottom housing. We're just going to plug everything in, make sure the battery's unplugged. We're going to test it all out, make sure everything still works. Sometimes the screen can be bad, touch can be bad. Maybe we didn't install something correctly. So we are just going to test it before we close it all up. Make sure you push them down well, the connection is good. Plug the battery back in. Just lay the screen down and test it. Power it back on. There we go. I'm going to go into settings, Touch ID passcode, make sure the Touch ID still works. I'm going to go to camera, make sure the rear camera works, make sure the front camera works. Going to make sure the speaker works. The way I do this is by making sure it's not on silent mode. I go to this and I dial while I hold it up to my ear. Okay, awesome. Speaker still works. I always test the microphone. Oh, but it's still... The way I test the microphone is just by going to the voice memos and leaving a voice memo. The last thing I touch is making sure that the touch works everywhere. So I'll hold on to an app and I will just move it all along the screen, making sure that it doesn't get stuck anywhere. And it looks like it is good. So I'm going to go ahead and power this back off and we will get it closed up and ready to go. I have this pack for the adhesive. With the 8s and up, I recommend putting the adhesive with the 7s and the 6 and the 6S's. They have a little lip up here that attaches them pretty well and they stay as long as the lip is in and the screws are in, it's good. But as far as the 8s and the 8 pluses and up, they don't. So I'm going to unplug everything. And my favorite way to apply this is to cut it in half. I like to cut this in half just like this. For me, it just makes it easier to apply and make sure that everything is on there correctly. So you're going to pull this side, this longer side, off. These can be purchased on Amazon. I would recommend, like I said, you don't always know if they come in the pack, the kit for your screen. So it's always a good idea just to purchase these as well if you're not sure. So I just put on one side just like that. And I grab the other side and I will put that on as well. Doesn't have to be perfect, but you definitely want it to be inside, not outside. So then I take my pry tool and I just run across it just to make sure that the adhesive is stuck down well so I can pull it up. There we go. Certain parts you just kind of have to go slowly, press it back down. There we go. Pull it right on up. Same with the other side. I'm going to press it down with my pry tool. Make sure it's stuck on there. And then I am just going to pull it right on up. Just like that. Now we just attach our screen back on. Again, make sure the connection is really good. Plug in the battery. Then I'm going to set it down. You can always stick something behind it. You definitely want to make sure that it's not pulling on the cables at all. That can damage them. And I'm going to put these back in. So for this one, your 3 short screws will go closest to the battery, farther. Your longest screw will go right here, next to the battery connector. Your next 2 plates, put the top one on first. Just the top 2 screws. Don't want to do the bottom one yet. And then you're going to put the last one on, put the last 2 screws in, General. Okay, now that I have those screwed in, I'm going to put the screen back down. I put it down at an angle, put the top on first, push along the sides. You want to be careful not to push on the screen because that can damage it. It should just snap right down into place. Just like that. I like to rub it, give it that adhesive, the ability to seal. I also feel like with phones like this that require the adhesive, it's nice to clamp it for a little bit. I take just a C-clamp and I will put a book above it and below it, and I'll stick it right in the middle, and I will just clamp it for like 12 to 24 hours. Make sure the adhesive is really stuck. Then we are going to put in the bottom screws. I'm going to power it back on. This is the point where I like to put the screen protector on. So I pull this off. I've left this on so I don't have to clean the screen or anything. It's good to go. I pull this off first, just like that. I pull this off just like that, and I stick it right on as quick as I can. I line up the bottom with the home button. I line up the top with the speaker. And then I push right down the middle, and that will give it a really good seal all the way across. Go ahead and work any bubbles out.